Welcome to Module 1. In this module, we are going to cover the leveling guidelines and the basic leveling expectations. Before we jump in, I like to start with what I call is the TPM mission. TPMs drive complex and cross-functional technical programs by leveraging their deep domain expertise and building a holistic execution strategy to deliver on business goals. The reason I start with this is because I want us all to understand the baseline expectations of a TPM. The words that are highlighted are of key importance, and you will see why as we go along the course. Complex, cross-functional, domain expertise, a holistic execution strategy. These are all highly important, especially when you go into the higher levels as a TPM. Let's talk about the TPM core skills. Many of you probably know this. Maybe you've come across this visual that I have on my blog. I created this visual so that it becomes really easy to understand the relationship of each of these skill buckets to each other. As you can see, the technical skill set forms the foundation of what I call the TPM monument of impact and success. And on top of it, you have your program management, communication, and leadership skills. These skills need to be well balanced and become highly nuanced as you go up in levels. The way you utilize these skills and demonstrate them determines the level of impact and success that you will have. Another thing I wanted to touch upon before we dive deep into the TPM levels is the TPM archetypes. These are the various flavors of a TPM, so to say. Which archetype are you, or do you want to be? This also becomes a relevant question as you go up in levels, because you can choose certain paths. If you look at the Generalist TPM, they are more breadth focused. They can work across any domain, and they work with multiple teams, multiple functions, really cross-functionally. They could be launch TPMs, for example, that are launching a key product out to the market, and they're collaborating with a number of different teams to get that out, which means they may not necessarily always go deep into every team's work. On the other hand, you have the domain-specific TPM. This is the TPM that has a lot of specialization. It could be AI or machine learning, for example, and they go deep into that tech. They might still work with multiple teams, but their domain speciality is what makes them different from the generalist TPM. For example, the component TPM, who is in charge of delivering a piece of component, such as a camera for a phone release. There is also a distinction that's made between product TPMs and infra TPMs. Product TPMs are TPMs who are working on products that generally have an end user or customer that's outside of the organization. Many TPMs work as product TPMs. As product TPMs, you require a bit of product sense, understanding the customer and what metrics are useful in looking at their behaviors. On the other hand, infra TPMs work on back-end systems. It could be databases, data centers, infrastructure systems, and so on. Their customers are generally internal to the company. They work on systems that generally power or drive other products and services. So depending on what's your expertise and strengths and interests, you can choose an archetype that works for you. Remember, one of the things that you will see is that as you go up levels, your scope increases, which means you may need to decide between becoming a generalist versus a domain-specific TPM.